So I'm not discounting these papers. They're great papers. They talk about awesome techniques and procedures that you can apply to other things. But when you're talking about risk to an organization, one bypass for one application in one scenario is not something I want to invest in. All right, so Java. So we've dealt with all buffer overflows and heap overflows, right? All that's done. EMET protects us against all of that, right? It's not an end-all be-all, but it does a really good job. So what about Java? Java's kind of dead, so I can actually skip a lot of things. But the reason why I want to talk about it a little bit is we're going back to that dirt road mentality. Me as an attacker, when I do a fish, and Java was still prevalent a couple of years ago, right? When I do a fish, I see the first user agent come across as this browser. Cool. Anyone tell me what this browser is? Anyone know what a user agent is? One person in the room knows what a user agent is. Okay, we're going to go really well here. So this, someone say Firefox? No. Internet Explorer 8.0. Everything is Mozilla. WoW 64. That means it's 64, 32-bit. Now we got trolls. .NET. It tells me tons about this application, about this operating system, just by them surfing to the website that I've set up for phishing. I don't have to capture credentials. I don't have to exploit their box. I know everything I need to know about their browser, right? So the cool thing is that once the Java plugin is enabled or triggered by a Java application, the request for that application actually comes from the Java process. And the Java process has a different user agent. So when I see this come across, or this come across, or this come across inside of my weblogs, guess what I do? I have this wonderful dynamic application for phishing that says, oh, you're running this vulnerable version of Java, I will send you this exploit. It's really simple. What do you do on the defender side? Anything that is an outdated version of Java, block it at the proxy. Done, right? So this is a lot less effective these days because Java is basically blocked in every single browser. But the mindset is still the same. Start thinking about how an attacker sees things and focus on that dirt road, going to the point where you can make effective protections at a smaller scale that work better. So that's what I see. And if they never see that, then we're great. Anyone ever see this before? You just click run? Okay, cool. Yay, more trolls. Where were the trolls in the other talks? Like, do you guys just find my talk and go, oh yeah, we're going to do this?
You're our leader.
Approved. So this is what I used to talk about is blocking at the proxy because that was the only way you could do it. And the cool thing about this is that it worked in SSL as well, right? So if you look at a proxy log, you see the user agent still goes across just fine inside of the proxy logs for SSL traffic. No one laughed at that. That sucks. All right, so there's September 2014. IE gets on board and says, we're going to block anything that's out of date. Yay! Patch Tuesday went around and things got better. Then Chrome said, we're going to follow that same thing a year later and said, we're going to stop all things from Chrome, or all Java plugin stuff from Chrome, which is better than just outdated stuff. And then Firefox. So if we got rid of all of the Java stuff, now what's next? From an attacker point of view, what are we doing next? JavaScript, yeah. Come on. Flash is back. Okay. See, this whole wire thing doesn't work so well. All right. So, all right, we got through the Flash stuff, and to protect against Flash, I don't really have anything for you. It runs in the browser already, so you have to have an exploit for it. One of the things that is much more like Java than anything else in Flash is Adobe Air. Anyone ever heard of Adobe Air? Yeah, so Adobe Air runs as an executable on your actual web system, right? You know that, right? There's no pop-up asking you that you're wanting to run it. You don't have to sign anything. It's actually better than Java in that case. The other thing about this Adobe Air thing is that it does the exact same stuff as Java. It sends the request over to the Adobe Air application and plugin, and then it pulls down the code. So you can protect it in the very same way that we did Java in the previous slides. Okay? So let's move on to some of my irks on current pen testing / protections. So this one is one of my favorite stories of all time. I was working as a SOC analyst or a CERT guy, and our AV guy came along and said, hey, here's all the reports for all the things that we caught. Cool. I start looking through the report. Weather.com plugin, weather.com plugin, weather.com plugin, removed. PW dump plugin, removed. Wait, what? PW dump removed from where? The IIS server? The one that's sitting on the internet? It got removed. So the guy's like, yeah, we got it removed. Does anyone in here know what PW dump does except for the people over here? What? It dumps hashes. What are hashes? Passwords, basically, in the broadest sense of the word. So, password dumping tool was on an IIS server, and it got removed, but that's okay. We're all good, right? Come on. It's an So we started an investigation, and we're like, it got there somehow. It was on that box somehow. So one of the things that I stress is that while a lot of teams turn this thing called a HIPS, or Host Intrusion Prevention System, or AV, they turn these things on, but they don't make them go into actual protection mode. So HIPS, McAfee's the biggest person in the world on this one, right? So everyone has McAfee's HIPS. So I can say that that's the application. Well, the problem with that is that the host intrusion prevention part never gets turned on. It's always disabled. It's an audit-only mode because it breaks a lot of stuff. It slows your applications down. It stops all things from working. However, you can set up blocking on specific categories only. So they have an entire category of hacking tools. Turn that on. Okay, so AD Audit Plus was the only application that did this. This is, when I first gave this talk in 2014, it was the only one that gave this. This is, but there are a lot of systems, and even PowerShell can do this now. Logon alerting for valid logons. Anyone actually on their home computer audit their successful logons? Yeah, bullshit. Excuse my language, I know this is getting recorded. So auditing successful logons is something that very, very few organizations do. More and more are doing it these days, but They don't do them very much. So the awesome pen test that I did that had this enabled was one of my biggest fails of all time. So how this happened was I got on, sent a fish, got the fish, got into their application using Java. It was awesome. Got my first shell, started going around. First box had domain admin on it. I'm like, yay, I'm done, right? Dropped his hash, dropped his password or hash at the time, I don't remember which, and started going around to different boxes. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning because that's when all the best pen testing happens, on the Friday of the last day of the pen test. So we were going around and hitting box after box, trying to find our end goal. And the system admin had it set up through AD Audit Plus so that whenever his account was used in more than one place within a 5-minute period, he got a SMS alert about it. He set this up himself, and he had the ability through AD Audit Plus to send an SMS back to reset his password automatically. So all he did was we woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, saw that happened, sent an SMS resetting his password, and the next day he came in, and we were already stunted. We couldn't do anything. We had not gotten any more access than, like, he found us, got us out, and that was it. And all he did was roll over at 2 a.m. and send a text. That was his security. It was awesome. HIPs, we already talked about that. Phone scanning. I'm going to get on a soapbox. I'm already on kind of a soapbox on other topics, but I'm going to get on a soapbox about this. There are too many organizations these days that do vuln scanning, hit the box, do the vulnerability scan, and then send their vulnerability scan results directly to the owners of those applications to say, hey, go fix this. You know what the problem is with that? They don't care. The application owner only cares that it is online. They also have no idea what a buffer overflow means or does. They might have an idea. But if it says Apache, PHP vulnerability, and XYZ plugin as their top critical vulnerability, they are going to laugh you off the stage. Why? Because that is a critical, and on Red Hat, they roll patches backwards, and then the Apache version doesn't look the same. And without actually analyzing what is in those reports, you are doing your entire company a disservice. Without looking at those before you send them off to people, to say, here are the actual exploitable things. Here are the critical things that you need to look at. Yes, it's going to take you more time. Yes, you can't do the entire organization in a month, or depending on the size of the organization, right? You're going to have to explain that to your boss to say, I'm the vuln scan guy, but I can't complete this in an amount of time because I'm actually doing analysis on it, what you paid me to do. That's going to be a hard conversation, but you need to have it if you're going to be a vuln scanner. The cool thing about this is, even if you are not a vulnerability scanning person, or even if you don't know exploit dev or any of that stuff, or know how to exploit machines, the next time your pen test company comes around and says, hey, we're just going to start the pen test in about a month, you go, hold on, let me give you my vuln scan. They'll be like, what? I get to know all the cool stuff that's vulnerable? You'll be like, yeah, here it is. Tell us what's vulnerable. In about an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long it takes them to look through that vuln scan, they're going to be able to tell you which things are exploitable. They're going to give you more analysis on that one scan result than any of your guys could, or maybe not. Like, it depends on what skill sets you guys have, right, in your organization. But you're using that pen tester's time more effectively. To go back to a question that Eric got earlier, how do you kill that animosity between red teamers and the people who are already there trying to push the stuff? I have a hack for that. What I do on a call is I go, hey, I know that I'm coming in as a consultant. What's the biggest issues that you're dealing with these days? What are you trying to push? I will make sure that that's on my report, right? And then now we're friends. Now I'm pushing your agenda. Now, I might disagree with it, and we'll talk back and forth on that, and I'm not going to blindly accept what you're asking me to do. But making it so that it's more of a collaborative piece is where we need to go with these things. So get your red teamers, pen testers involved. Use their time wisely. One of the things I'll talk about, I won't skip it. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Crowdsourcing security. So I used to work for a company, a really large company, Fortune 10. And we started a really cool program that is totally not my idea, but I'm stealing it and proposing it as my idea on these slides. So what we did was inside of the company, we had this program that said, hey, if you see a security incident, physical, digital, any security incident, you got points. How much does 1 point cost the company? How much 10 points does it cost the company? Nothing. 0. Total budget used, $0. Every single boss on the planet will love that, right? So after a while, after a month or 2 months or whatever, each person in our organization got points and it became competitive. And once you had these points, if you were the top 3 in our organization or different business unit, if you were the top 3, you got a letter from the president and owner of the company saying, thank you for your service to our company. Now, for a lot of people, that's awesome. You can put that in your resume, you can put that in your weekly, your monthly review or yearly review. Now you have something to go and say, hey, I did this, I have this email from the president of the company. If that is not incentive for you, there was also a Visa gift card. So this Visa gift card was $100. It was $200 for the second place and $300 for the first place. If you could get $300 in your pocket every single quarter for just reporting a fish, wouldn't you? Right? Even people who are security people would love to just have, a free gift card they can not tell their wife about and use later. Right? So, shh, don't tell her I do that. So the great thing is that now it's competitive, we even gave badges. How much does badges cost? Nothing. It doesn't cost the company anything. So we gave badges for people who reported things. We gave physical security badges. So if you notice someone tailgating, do you know how many tailgating incidents happened on the first quarter that we instituted this program? Thousands across the entire company. Thousands. Do you know how many happened after the second quarter? 1 or 2. People would actually come back from lunch and watch for anyone trying to tailgate to get points, to get something for free. So the cost of a breach is what? 100 million, 2 million, 7 million, 500,000? $500 a quarter? Easy sell to all of your business, corporate executives and stuff. Really easy to get going. While I was there, we took this to the next step. We actually instituted an internal bug bounty program. We said, hey, this is going so well, we're giving points away all the time. It's free. That we're going to say, hey, if you see a problem in any one of our applications as you're using them, you can get points for it too by reporting that bug. How many of you in here have gone to some internal page to a school site or to a corporate website or something, and it broke in some way and you saw a SQL or you saw some other error on the page, and you went, oh, that sucks, it's broken, and kept going? Right? Except for you guys. So if what we did was made it so that if you reported any of that, we had the people, that would take care of that. That's the important piece. You have to employ a couple people on your help desk or whatever to look at these reports and validate them. So it does cost money, but usually from people that you already have. Next. All right. Moving on to another topic. Honeypots. Honeypots are funny. You get to watch attackers do stuff. But trying to get a honeypot into a corporate organization the size of Fortune 10, 50 is not going to happen. I mean, you have to be shooting rainbows out of places to be able to get it to work or get approved. So one of the ways that we work through this to say, hey, we've gotten to the point where we do relatively good security, we want to see more of what the attacker is doing, is by setting up AWS on Linode or AWS or some VPS somewhere, and then on our corporate website, on the company's main website, we port forwarded 1433, so SQL, out to an AWS account. So it was going into our corporate network, then the firewall was turning it around to some other application out on the internet. So we actually had a valid honeypot that never touched our internal organization and looked like it was valid. Now the defenders got to look at more of what the attackers were doing. So we did this on a number of occasions on a number of different applications that we had. So there's a couple that were only on SSL, we put 80 on there and stuff like that. This gets me giddy. This is my favorite vulnerability of all time, and it's built into Windows all the way up to Windows 10. Has anyone ever seen that setting? I guarantee that at least 20 people in this room right now are looking at their laptops and going, yep, it's set. Because it's default on. You know what happens when this setting's default on? Your Windows application or your Windows OS goes, hey, do I see anyone on my network called WPAD? Guess what my computer's called? WPAD, every single one of them. I actually have an issue with this at home because I forget to set this setting on my VMs, and then I can't get to the internet for some reason, and then I remember that all of my computers are called WPAD. But this setting turned on looks for a computer called WPAD anywhere you are on any network. So if you're on GoGo InFlight or Starbucks, it will look for WPAD. Once it does this, it then asks that server or computer that says it's WPAD for proxy settings. Guess what my computer does? Provides the proxy settings. The great thing about this is that the CFAA, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, says that you are actually seeing my computer. So you're the one doing the illegal stuff, not me. So as soon as I provide those proxy settings, if I do anything but provide those proxy settings, then I get into legal ramifications. So how do you defend against this? In your corporate network, make sure that WPAD actually has a DNS setting. IPv6, they made it more difficult to figure out. It's WPAD, WPAD, WPAD. Go Windows and Microsoft, you're awesome. Disabling NetBIOS inside of a domain. This is a really hard one to get right because every single user for every single computer. So if you log into one computer and then go to another one, you have different settings for this. NetBIOS needs to be turned off on everyone. That's hard to do. There are some like Stack Overflow and other settings to get this done, but it's really hard. Okay. So everyone turned off WPAD now? Because if not, my computer's on this network too. DNS, this is where I start getting jaws to drop. DNS, turn it off. Turn off DNS. In corporate networks, you can do this as long as you have a proxy, and we all have proxies, right? No. It's unfortunate, but a lot of organizations don't want to go through the hassle of dealing with making a proxy or sending it so that it's not transparent. Guess what a transparent proxy is to an attacker? Transparent. It doesn't do anything. So why do you have it? Well, we do web filtering. Great. You know what web filtering means? I go to the web filtering company. I go to their submit web filter update I go then, myevil.attacker.com website. What kind of category is it? Travel. 5 minutes to an hour later, they've updated it. They've come to my website. My website points at expedia.com. They go, yep, it's travel. I then reroute my website to something else. Bob's your uncle. Your categorization is awesome. So how does this relate to DNS? DNS, for an example, when I first started this big company, I thought I was the biggest guy on the block. I thought I was awesome. I was like, hey guys, check this out. I just started working on this DNS-based C2. You're never going to see it. It goes over command and control over DNS. It does the resolution all the way up and down the chain. I started running it. It didn't work. All the other red teamers on the team were like, watch this. I was like, hold on, I got it. It's going to work. It's awesome. Wait. And they were just laughing at me because in the entire Fortune 10 company, DNS didn't work. It resolved anything for Active Directory just fine, but the Active Directory DNS service did not have forwarding on. So how does this work? How can you survive without DNS? Internet works on DNS, right? What happened was their proxy did all the DNS requests. When you submit a request to the proxy server, it doesn't do the DNS request first, it does it after for HTTP. So, problem solved. So the cool thing about this is that it kills an entire class of command and control that's getting more popular each day. So if you turn off DNS internally, at least forwarding off, any kind of C2 that they do, so let's say I'm an attacker and I hit your organization and you have DNS turned off. I send over my awesome C2-based or DNS-based C2. I get 400 people, 400 people to click. All 400 people click and run my binary. Guess what happens? I can't do anything. So it doesn't matter if I get code execution. And that's the point of this talk, is getting to the point where your users can click on whatever they want, wherever they want, and it doesn't do anything in the organization. Or it runs, and I'm not cool enough to write an AI-based C2. Right? All right. I need new batteries. So, anyone recognize this logo? This is directly stolen from someone else. So this slide is true though. Like, the reason why I copied it directly and asked for permission first was that this slide is absolutely true. There is not an organization in the world, even foreign ones. Try pen testing an organization that speaks a different language than you, and you try and go CD:// like Windows, or try and elevate to the system user. It's all different. Anyways, but these work everywhere. For some reason, it's a universal language to make your password welcome1. No idea why. So how do you deal with this? You deal with this as an organization by getting your pen testers to do your password audit. You would not believe how giddy a pen tester will get when day one of a pen test you say, here's our domain controller. Like, I want you to do a password audit. They'll go, yay! You'll get them to squee. I actually know what that word is because I got 3 kids. But seriously, they'll have so much fun. And the cool thing is that now they have passwords. Great. Now they can do more for your organization faster. All you get is benefit out of that, right? You're just getting more out of them. So ask your pen testers to do the dumps if you can't do it yourself. The cool thing is, as part of one of our organizations, we set up a VM on our domain controller. All it had access to was the domain controller. It was like one-to-one local host or host-based only for your VirtualBox or whatever. All it did was every quarter, it did a password audit using the RockU list. If your password was in the Rocky list, you got an email warning saying that your account was going to be locked out within a day if you didn't change it, the password. So anyone who had the password in the Rocky list or in the Rocky plus rules list, they got a notification saying they had 24 hours to change their password or their password or their account would be locked. And this VM would automatically lock them out after a day if they didn't respond or didn't change it. So it did redump and assessed it. This is crazy awesome. So guess what? When I'm on a pen test or doing a rating assessment and I dump your domain controller and not a single one cracks, guess what is going through my mind as a psychology piece? I did something wrong. Not your passwords are great, because no one's passwords are ever great. I did something wrong. So I am going to stress out trying to fix my cracking tool to fix it so that I can actually get a password to dump or a password to crack. And then when I finally get one, I'll be like, oh, it's good. But if you can get inside the head of your attackers and screw with them, that's the best defense. Before I get to the evil canary stuff where I'm talking more about that, I'm going to get into the authenticating splash proxy. One of the cool things about this is the psychology of it. So, in the company I used to work for, if you were the first person on the first day of the month to come into the company and start your work, you would see this at google.com. Wait, google.com is blocked? Why is google.com blocked? Okay. And then you'd say, don't worry, this could be the first time today someone's attempted to go here. Click on the unblock to allow this through. Unblock is red. Block is green. We all click green buttons automatically. This is great. This block button actually does absolutely nothing. It's a placebo effect. It makes you feel better that you didn't go to a website. It basically just hits back. Unblock is red. So the other cool portion of this is that, that's not up here for some reason, is on the actual splash page, it says, for the entire company. So if I go to expletive website about bad things that humans do together in a natural way, .gov. That's whitehouse.gov, right? Ooh, bad joke. So if I go to that website and this pops up, the crazy thing that goes through users' minds and your mind is like, do I really want to allow this for the entire company? No, I do not, right? Because now they have a log. Now it's visceral. Now it's in their face saying that I as a proxy admin, have a log of you allowing bad website to go here. The insane piece about this is that it works. That you have less infections because of it. Why? Because I don't know of a piece of malware on the planet that can click a button. Meterpreter can't do it. Empire can't do it. Cobalt Strike can't do it. All of the other pieces of malware, Poison Ivy can't do it. Like, there isn't malware that can click a flash-based button. So guess what? Your users can click anything they want, and it's not going to get allowed through unless it's going to a valid website that someone's already gone to before and said, yes, go there. The insane thing about this is, the cool thing about this is, that most people who do phishing, so I set up bad website, evilphishingwebsite.com. I'm not an idiot, at least in most people's minds. I'm not an idiot that will set up my command and control on the same box because I don't want, if they catch the phishing website, to block my command and control. Well, guess what? The user might click on saying, yes, allow this through to their phishing website if you're really good at phishing. But guess what? Once they have code execution, they can't get to the other website because the malware can't click the button. Now, this doesn't help you if you allow SSH outbound. It doesn't help you if you allow 21 outbound. It doesn't help you if you allow all the ports outbound that most universities and colleges do, right? This can only help once you have strict egress filtering rules to only allow it to go through the proxy. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, we're tired, Rob. Stop talking and just get off the stage. How am I doing on time? Decent? Okay. Minutes? Ouch. Okay, so evil canaries. This is my favorite part of the talk. So this is all about how I got caught. How many pen testers talk about how they get caught? The reason why they don't? Yeah, BS. The reason they don't is because it's a reputation thing, right? If I get a reputation about as being a pen tester who gets caught all the time, no one's going to hire me, right? I mean, the people who are or learn and are open to it will, but I get less stuff coming into me. But one of the coolest ones that I had, and this is why it's the first one, was they made a domain admin temp account on the domain. Due tomorrow in CCDC or tonight in CCDC. Domain admin temp. Inside of the description, it said, here's the password for it. Temporary password for domain admin. What I didn't look at is what hours it was allowed to log in. 0. So when I first got this, I was on the test, I was like, awesome. Description says the password, try it out. Authentication successful. It works. Oh my God. Good. So I started using it everywhere. The system administrator who set this up sent an email alert anytime this account was being used to send him an email that it was used. He got like 400 emails. But this is how you catch attackers. Make it tempting. Make it exciting for them to get something, and you'll see how easy it gets caught. And then the cool thing is there's very little false positives. How many times do you think a regular user is going to look at a description of a domain admin and go, I'm going to try that out? Every day. The other one that pissed me off was this Password Audit 2014 one. So there was a share called Password Audit 2014 on the network. First thing I did on the test. As soon as I got a show, looked at the Password Audit share, I'm like, we're good. Logged into it, opened it up, it was good. I was like, yes! There was an Excel document that says, here's all the passwords. It had 4 megs of stuff, so it looked valid. It looked like an actual password dump from like a John the Ripper or whatever. So it had everyone deny on it, permission. Does anyone know in Windows what an everyone deny rule does? Even if your system? It overrides everything else. So system has a couple ways to get around this, but it's not some things that you normally think of. So if I'm an admin or even a standard user, I cannot see the permissions on this folder or file. It doesn't even allow me to see that it has an everyone deny on it. So guess what I did? Me as an attacker, I went and said, okay, I'm going to open this file. Double click. Access denied. Double click. Access denied. Okay, let me access it using SMB client. Access denied. Let me try it with this other user. Access denied. Let me try it with this other user. Access denied. Crap! So I tried it with every user that I had. Guess what the defenders did? Lock out, lock out, lock out, lock out, lock out, lock out. Guess how many false positives this creates? 0. If someone is looking for this file and opens it, they have bad intentions, even if it's accidental, even if it's an insider. Oops, sorry. Okay. The backup database one was hilarious too. So in this one, there was a guy who we actually hired because we didn't want to have him defending against us anymore. He set up a computer called backup database. So the first thing we did on the test was look at this backup database. It had a very outdated version of MySQL on Windows. All the pen testers in the room were like, oh. right? So it was on Windows. First thing I did was root no password. That's what the password is on MySQL. It said authentication successful, and then dumped me back to my prompt. Like, what? Hold on, wait, try this again. Authentication successful, dumped me back to my prompt. What this guy had done was he removed the authentication DLL from MySQL. So all it ever did was say successfully returned, and it didn't do anything else. So you could authenticate as any user on the planet, and it would just dump you back, disconnect you. That's it. He removed one DLL from this thing, and it was just a Raspberry Pi or something. It was so annoying. Any web developers in the room? So this web developer thought it was hilarious because he would get scanned by these vuln scans every so often, and he hated it because then he'd have to fix like SQL injection and cross-site scripting and all this crap that he didn't want to fix. So what he did was he set up all of these fake, .htaccess forwards so that anytime you scanned it with a vulnerability scanning tool, it said 402, which is payment required. So he was basically telling all of the scanner monkeys to pay him. Next one. Anyone ever go to getcreditcardnumbers.com? Everyone's like, no, I wouldn't go there. Getcreditcardnumbers.com is actually a really cool website that lets you generate card numbers, fake ones, dummy data, so that you can use it in your databases and stuff. This one really, really was horrible because on this test, we were tasked with getting credit card data. So we got the credit card data by accessing the Oracle database. And in this Oracle database, we had an Oracle guy who was really good at Oracle databases. And what he did was he went through and listed all the Oracle databases all in the thing. I forget they're called something else, but anyways, the databases. And they were named like CH4R21, P01561, credit cards, T764, 54321, like all of these other names. So guess where we went? The one that said credit cards. We downloaded all of the credit cards. Then we went and did the report, and we're like, we got all your credit cards. And they were like, yeah, you got the ones that are dummy data. We caught you, and we're like, you didn't get any of the other ones because in every single one of the other databases were the actual credit cards. We didn't even look. We didn't even go into any of the other databases. Anyone ever deal with a Juniper VPN? This Juniper VPNs are actually pretty cool, other than their backdoor, which is also cool. But anyways, they have the ability to make their own custom HTML pages for put your logo, VPN site, or whatever. And what this devious dude did was he set up his VPN website to have a default username and password embedded as a HTML comment inside of their database, inside of the custom website for their Juniper. So when we went to view source on it, we're like, creds! Like, it's just there. We didn't have to use Eric for his shoehorn stuff. Sorry, you can ask him about that later. Horseshoe stuff. So it's creds right in there. So we tried the credentials. They worked. We're like, yes, we're in. It had a zero access ACL applied to it. We were in the VPN, but couldn't do a single thing. They instantly blocked our IP address. So, like, all of this stuff, all of these evil canaries that we can talk about, are all about zero false positive ways of detecting bad guys by using their own psychology against them. This one got me in trouble specifically. So we were doing a test, and we had a bunch of our guys on the team doing phishing, and a bunch of our guys on the team doing web apps assessment. So I was doing external with them. The phishing people did their side of stuff. They got like 50 credentials, but didn't get access, didn't get internal access. We're like, oh, dang. They had 50 credentials of the stuff. So that on the website, I'm like, hey, I found a place where we can validate this thing and maybe get more stuff, maybe get more, access. It had /admin/login actually showed the domain in it, so it's AD enabled. We can do more with this. So I'm like, hey, phishing guys, you got the credentials? Let's try some of these out. I tried every single one of them. All it did was forward back to the main page. Guess what happened? Every single one of those accounts got locked out or changed. Do you know how grateful the phishing side of the team was? They didn't let me on tests for like a week and a half. They were so pissed. Like, you burned every single one of them? Yeah. The next one, you guys can do very easily. This guy actually had a telnet device, just a Raspberry Pi or whatever, connected to a small little monitor next to his desk, and said, anytime you see port 23 traffic ever, put up a red sign, and then it gave him, since he was the Cisco admin as well, it gave him the exact port that it was on. So we were actually doing an internal test at the time in this office that the CISO had put us in, this unused office in like the 6th floor. He was on the 1st floor. He walked up, opened the door, and says like, hey guys. So he blocked our ports and we were pretty much done. So all of this stuff really is to make it so that you guys think about attackers more as people than some magical unicorns that can get anything done, right? If you think of them as people, then you start thinking about the psychology involved in it, and then you start thinking about ways that you can really screw with them. But one of the pieces that I see in corporate America that they don't involve for some reason on the security side of things is the help desk. The help desk at any organization is your front line of defense. They are the people who know when weird stuff is happening. I get caught on pen tests more by people noticing weird stuff than ever by any security blinky box. It's the Oracle admin that says, hey, I got a weird login. Could you guys look into this? And they call the help desk. Or they call, the firewall admin or something else. They call someone. And the fact that organizations don't get their help desks involved in this security thing kind of pisses me off. All right, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns, saved rounds? Hate mail. What? Okay.